Welcome to Business Savages with your host, Olia Gravel. This is the meeting place for Entrepreneur Anonymous, where stories that never get published on LinkedIn come to the surface. In each episode, we invite an entrepreneur to share their raw, unfiltered journey and the lessons they've learned from it. Whether you're in the trenches seeking validation or advice, or simply wondering if starting is even worth it, this is your space. Thanks for joining us today, and let the confession booth begin. Hi everyone, welcome back to Business Savages. Today, I have a guest with very special background, somebody who I have not had come onto the show yet. She is a former professional athlete who is now a third-time business owner, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. And hi, Olia. It's super great to be here on a podcast and share my experience and hopefully inspire someone. So my name is Gabby. I used to be a professional athlete. I lived in 4 countries, and currently I'm running Capital Boost, which is an outsourced AI-based tech agency, a sales agency, and I help tech founders to get their products in the market. And I'm super stoned to tell more about my journey and hopefully have a good time here.
I hope so too. Usually it's a fun conversation. What I want to dive into, no pun intended, since you're a former swimmer, is how did you get into swimming in the first place? And what are the lessons and the career and the character building moments that you took out of it, you think?
Right. So I got thrown into a pool when I was 6, and mainly because of scoliosis. They said that, swimming helps. So I went. Well, my parents kind of put me there. And I started swimming, and my coach, she spotted me, and she was like, maybe you would like to try fin swimming. And I was like, oh, well, I have no idea what is it, but okay. And that happened when I was 8. So I tried it. It's basically like fastest swimming in the world. You swim with fins, and you look like a mermaid. And of course, it was quite appealing.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So I started training. I saw that I'm good at it. I, started going to local competitions. I loved it. Apparently, I like competing. So I just, started swimming, and that was fun. And then I ended up going to multiple world championships, World Cups, and traveled a world with swimming, fin swimming. And it led me to achieve Lithuanian record, which I don't know even how it happened. I guess, a lot of hard work and training, gets in at some point, and then you're like, okay, it works. But coming back to your question of how it shaped me and how it shapes me to this day is resilience, discipline, and stress handling. So in order to become good at something, you have to put in the work, and that's a given, right? Like in
Right.
any field, if it's music, if it's sports, if it's business, if it's anything you're passionate about, if you don't put in the work, it's just not gonna come. Like talent is not gonna sustain that. So discipline is what really taught me swimming taught me, as well as stress management when you are on display. So imagine before every competition, you go in there and you're like, shit, now I have to like swim and do my best, and this the stress is coming up. So having these types of visualizations, like, okay, how I will spin, what kind of strategy will I use, where will I speed up more, where will I, the technique and so on. It's super important in business as well, right? Like, how am I going to achieve a specific goal? So that, as well as some breathing techniques, like, they say like Wim Hof breathing, right? Like how you breathe as well, like to handle your anxiety. So this has shaped me quite a lot, as well as, you set a goal, and I'm truly believer in writing out your goals and writing them on the paper and breaking them down. And in swimming, I was like, okay, I want to achieve X. and then you're working towards it, and then it becomes true. So I have my goals in business as well, and I just know that it's gonna take like resilience and a lot of effort in order to achieve it. But I'm just go getter. So that's how it shaped me and continue to shape me. So yeah.
There is a recent quote that I read from, I think it's from one of the actors who are like in martial arts. I can't remember which one exactly, but it's basically about I'm not scared of somebody who knows how to do 100 kicks. I'm scared of somebody who has done the same kick 100 times.
Oh, the one.
Yeah, because it basically it proves what, or it underlines the same thing you just said. It's just consistency and putting in work. There is like no way around it. And I think there is I can remember another famous quote. It's about the talent versus work. It's like you can be super talented, but if you're not consistent, you're not doing the reps. I guess that's another way of putting it. There's somebody who is just hardworking and persistent is still gonna outdo you, no matter how talented you are.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%.
So the visualization technique that you would use right before the competition, is that something that you still deploy when it comes to your businesses?
Yes, 100% yes. If you cannot imagine it, if you cannot speak it, you cannot do it. So I sometimes I don't say that I'm doing meditations every day. I wish, but I don't. I don't have like the willpower to do it. Maybe
Right.
at some point I will do it,
Hmm.
but when I do it, I close my eyes, I put this like music, and then I'm like visualizing my life like 5 years from now, 2 years from now, even 1 month from now. And it really helps me to break down or imagine where I would like to be. Like, for instance, like 1 month ago, I was visualizing how Capital Boost will get an office, for instance. And I was really like thinking how it will look like, how will I will feel there, what is the smell there, like really trying to get it like as much as possible because you can trick your brain. It's like with affirmations. If you
Hmm.
say affirmations, just when you wake up and just before going to sleep, your brain is more receptive to think it's true. So, and if you say like, it is easy for me to make 100,000 euros, and you repeat that, it you trick your brain, and then you actually like are able to achieve it because it's easy for you, and you know it's like you said it to your brain and it is. So visualization, yes, it definitely like helps in business, and I wish I should probably do that more often, but I
I mean,
do.
anecdotally, I think it actually works. Like from the people that I either, well, following people on social media, I think could be a tricky thing because sometimes it's like when I follow certain people, I'm like, so is that real or you just like mega real because this is your technique? Like, I've heard some people do it. Like they just post on social media what how they want to be, like a certain persona, etc. And apparently it works because I guess I'm not an expert in this whole area, but the two things that I've definitely heard about it repeatedly from multiple sources, what you just described as basically like programming your brain to
Mhm.
believe certain things, because then on the chemical level it starts acting as if that's the reality, because the brain cannot distinguish something like a true thought or something that we're imagining, like it just doesn't know. So
Yeah.
then your biochemistry is going to adjust itself. And then I think the second rule, which is also like super um, just super parallel with what you just said, is basically there's a phrase one of the influencers keeps saying, be delusional or like act it as if you already have it. I even heard people doing things like, for a day I'm gonna be, say, the Forbes 30 under 30 person, so how is it gonna look like what does my day look like? Am I just like checking my bank account, seeing seven figures in there, like buying, I don't know, a Gucci bag just like this in 3 seconds without us thinking, blah, blah, blah. It like sounds hilarious on one hand, but apparently on the other hand, it actually works.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But just to touch up on your one point that you just mentioned, like this fakeness in social media, I think it's like not really good. Not sure if we want to cover this, but like I have a sister, she's 14, and then she's seeing all of these influencers so successful, so probably they are not. It's probably like rented or something. I don't know.
Right.
Some of them are probably like real. But then you can get anxiety, like thinking, like looking all of these successful individuals online, and I don't think it's healthy for our brain, like to, and
Oh,
especially
no,
small
for
ones.
sure. I totally agree. And I think it's a good subject to touch upon because I don't think I've really, maybe a couple of times, but not at length. And I think that's a lot of people's pain point. It's like we very often compare ourselves to what we see on social media. And I would probably say like at least 80% of time, it's not very true because A, people are never going to post their struggles. They just post their successes. And B, it's like nowadays, it's like super easy to make something look real
Yes,
with all the
yes,
help of the AI and everything else, and like everything other means at our disposal is just it's definitely a source of like instant depression when you look at it.
100%. But then like to differentiate which is true and which is not is super hard.
Yeah,
And I don't know, like I also sometimes like watch social media and scroll like as everyone probably.
right.
And I'm like, okay, I need to stop this. It's just too much. Like it's just too much. Like all these girls with perfect faces, probably filters and
Right. Hmm.
creations. Like it's intense. But yeah, like we live in a world like that. We have to accept it, I guess, or find ways to deal with it. So
Exactly. But what you just brought up, your sister, I think this, like for anybody from the younger generation, is definitely like a harder hit because they have a lot less, I guess, confidence and willpower to be like, okay, like this is not real. I should only compare myself to myself like a day ago. This actually is a technique that I've deployed myself, not to compare myself to others. And I wasn't even talking about, influencer and stuff. It's just, I could not stop thinking, okay, I feel like I'm not doing enough because like look at this person, she has like X, Y, and Z, and look at that person. And like I'm not talking about like mega influencers, just like some people who sort of made it. And then actually another guest was like, why are you doing this? She's like, you have two small kids, you have a full-time job, and you have like all this side projects, and like and you feel like you're not doing enough. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I should be making more money. And she was the person who was like, who are you comparing yourself to? I was like, to some people online, and she's like, yeah, but you don't know what's happening in the background. Maybe they have like a team of 10 assistants helping them.
yeah,
And this was like, for me, was like poof, in my head. And
yeah.
finally, I mean, I'm still doing it a little bit because I don't think you can like stop
I
it
guess it's
fully.
natural. I think it's natural.
Exactly.
Yeah, 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 100%. But then they say like it's better to compare who you were yesterday and who you are today. I mean,
Precisely.
it's easier said than done, though.
Yes.
So
Talk to me a little bit more about the breathing techniques. I think this is something that I've never discussed on this podcast, but I do them myself from time to time, especially the one that I just recently learned for like nervous system regulation. But you're definitely more of an expert. I'm just an amateur. So maybe if you could share a couple of those that have helped you in the past and maybe the ones that you're still using up until today.
yeah, so basically, firstly, I'm a really big advocate for yoga. I found yoga after I ended my swimming career,
Mhm.
and it helps me because I deal a lot with clients, with male clients who are 50, they're very strong, and it's like quite hard as a woman sometimes, to negotiate and always put this like boss as uh, image, so to say. But so I found yoga, which helps me a lot in the stress management techniques, and I use breathing for stress management. Um, one a couple techniques that help me is shake it. Like before, if you're very nervous, you just take your hands and or like your entire thing and you shake it off. That's how cortisol, I think,
Yeah,
gets
cortisol.
yeah, from your body, only like from shaking. How to get rid of stress as well is to minimize coffee. That's very important. It tenses you up. Drink more water. when it comes to breathing, it's about inhaling 4 seconds, holding for a couple seconds, and releasing again. And it's a slow kind of like, and really like letting it out fully and doing it for like 1 minute, not until you get like dizzy or something. No, but also that, and just yeah, shaking it off, doing a couple of breathing techniques. It helps me. I'm not doing these like super intense breathing techniques, like like how they're
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
seeing
Mm-hmm.
it. I only do it if it's in my yoga class, then it really helps a lot. But this is more or less what I use. In swimming, we used to hold the breath for a really long time, and I still can hold breath for like, I don't know, 1 minute and a half, like even more sometimes, depends on how much you practice before. But it's like this kind of breathing where you like inhale slowly, hold, and like fully release with sound. It helps, but the releasing needs to be like from the mouth, like as if you're like
Okay. Okay.
sitting. So that, yeah.
Do you go to like in-person yoga classes? Do you use an app?
Yes, I go in person. I found the studio, like I have couple studios that I really like. And I just like the community there. I like in-person meetings. I like how, they put some candles and the entire vibe there is super nice. And sometimes though they are in Czech language and I don't speak Czech. So sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just like following others what they are doing.
Right.
And most of the time, like because I'm practicing it for 2.5 years already, like I already
Mhm.
kind of know the flow. But I try to go, I don't really like doing it online. I just don't get the same vibe basically. And after yoga, it depends on the studio, but you can like get uh tea after, and it's like, the entire
The whole
like,
experience.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tell me how you got into your first business. Now, I guess because you told me you had the reason why your parents threw you into the pool, quote unquote, is because of the posture. So, is that why your first business was selling the posture correctors?
No, it was not
Okay.
because of this.
Okay.
So my first business was e-commerce, which I started in 2020, and I started in the Netherlands. How I came to this idea, because at that time we entered Corona times, right? And more
Mm-hmm.
people started working from home and not going to the offices. The offices were closed down. I don't want to remind all of this, but this is the setting. And I was thinking, okay, so a lot of people will be working from home, like, sitting like that, like slouched and everything. And also, I started looking at that time more into personal development, and posture plays a really big part of how you present yourself and your confidence levels, and so on and so on. And then I just started researching some products which were, doing well, or what people were searching online. And I just ordered them from China. I created a brand around it, which was Self Accelerate. I called it Self because I would
Mm-hmm.
want to tie it up more to like this personal development aspect. And I just went into it. I was just built that way. I love entrepreneurship, although it has like some down parts as well. Like I feel lonely, like a lot of times. But I just don't like the idea of being employee. So I was just like, okay, let's start it. Like let's try something. So I launched a website. I was selling them on Amazon. I was selling them on Bol.com. Bol.com is quite big, something like Amazon, but in the DACH market.
Okay.
So yeah, so I was selling it from there, and I was playing around with the prices. It was fun, but what I didn't like was this constant packing. Like if they order, you need to pack it, you need to go and send it, and I was just like, I didn't have help. I was doing it alone, and I was like, okay,
Well,
it's
that's
just
a lot of logistics
after you,
done. Yeah.
yeah, after you pack like the 50th, you are like, oh my god, I'm done. So I tried it. I liked it, but it was not the business I thought in the ability to scale it because it was from China ordered. It was not an original product. I was like, I don't know, I just didn't resonate with me
Didn't
that.
feel attached to it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, 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 yeah. But
gotcha.
I sold it. I sold it for 2,500 posture correctors. I packed myself. And then the other half, I was like, because I'm so done, I went and I sold it to pharmacy and did a B2B sale over there, which they bought in bulk for a price. So yeah, that was my first business.
That's a very interesting example. Now a couple of times you've repeated that you're just, do not want to have a boss and you feel like you've built out to just like do your own thing. Um, what do you think has influenced you to be that way? Because you seem like super set on that. And I think I've heard some other people just be like, yeah, I think. Whereas in your case, you're like super sure. Do you think you can like pinpoint things? I don't know, maybe it's something that your parents said all the time, or maybe it was a teacher that influenced you along the way. Can you think of of something like that?
I think I was built that way. I'm not a good employee. I can straight away say that. I don't like to be pretending I'm online from 9 to 5 and then don't have my own life. I don't like that. That's one reason. Second reason is that I think it also comes from family. My both parents were super corporate and they were climbing the ladder and they were never there. Like
Okay.
they were always on business trips and somewhere. I used to go back home and I was like, "Where's mom?" And then like my grandparents would be like, "Oh, she's in Finland. She's coming back after like 3 days." I'm like, okay, like, right? And that was all the time. So I think it comes from parents that I saw how much effort they were putting in, and I just like didn't like that. Also, I had some very crappy bosses along the way that I was like, nah. Plus, I'm very independent. Swimming is super independent sport. It's not a team sport. So it's always was like me against me. And
Right.
I think it also comes from that. So yeah, I think it's this. How or why on the psychological aspect, I don't know. I don't know if I want to.
This is like my new thing. I like figuring out because there was another guest that I interviewed who was homeschooled, and she kept saying things along the same lines as you. She was like, "Yeah, I just never could never imagine having a boss, blah blah blah." And we made the connection that it might be coming from her being homeschooled because it's a completely different environment, right? A completely different system. You're actually not even in the system, so you're just
Yeah.
seeing things in a completely different way. So I wonder, because maybe you had to be so independent because your mom and your dad were away most of the time that already like instilled this and you're like, okay, I'm on my own, so just like, gotta do it this way. Let's talk about competitiveness. Do you think it's more of a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to business ownership?
Yeah. Business ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say that it must be like in different aspects, I'm competitive. Like when it comes to friends, family, I'm like super inclusive and I always support my girlfriends and this and this and that. That's for sure. When it comes to business, you have to be competitive. I mean, you have competition in business if you are in the same field. Like there are so many other sales agencies that I'm competing with the clients that there are minimal clients in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be better than them. You need to offer better product than them. You need to offer better client experience than others in order to attract more customers and grow your business. So it must be competitiveness in the business 100%. I mean, you cannot be nice to everyone and expect that you're gonna win the game. Not saying there is a winning end to it, but also you're competing, well, at least to my understanding, you're competing with yourself every time. Like we touched, like, you have to compare with who you were yesterday. And
Right.
if you're not trying to become better, it's just, you're going to just stay at the same point you were a year ago. And that's a situation where I don't want to find myself in. I
Mm-hmm.
always want to strive for more and get more, be more, and don't know, just that's who I am.
Are you a half glass empty or half glass full? And I'll give you a
Full,
quick review.
always full.
Okay.
Full,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Because there are people that would look, for example, say, I don't know, they have identified like a couple of very direct competitors for themselves and be like, well, shit, they have, I don't know, 5,000 followers on LinkedIn and I have, I don't know, only 500. And so some people would be like, yeah, game over. I should just stop doing it because others are so like far advanced. And then others would be like, yes, I'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, of course, yeah, I have some followers on LinkedIn. It's not a lot, to my understanding, because I look up to people who have 100K. Like,
Right.
I look up to people
And
who
so that's motivational for you rather than,
exactly. Oh
okay,
yes,
screw
oh
it.
yes,
Okay.
oh
Okay.
yes, for sure. And one of my goals this year is to grow my LinkedIn to 100K. So then I'm thinking, okay, I want to do it not because I want to compete with anyone that's in the market, but I just want to prove to myself that I can. So then I'm like, okay, how do I do that? Do I like post videos? Do I comment more on people's posts? Do like have specific strategy in place? And that's again like comparing with swimming. Like, okay,
Right.
I swam this distance in 25 seconds. That's shit. I want to swim in 20 seconds, like less. How I'm gonna get that? Maybe going to the gym more, maybe swimming more laps, maybe fixing some of my technique or something. It's like constant evaluation and trial and error. So definitely I'm more like a half glass full person, and I don't like see individuals that are more successful than me and compete with them. I'm more like, shit, nice. That's awesome for them. I wanna try to be the same, or like I get inspiration from that rather than like, oh, she has or he has this and that. Well, I probably bought or something.
um, what's the like the cutoff point for you where you're like, okay, well, this is not working out. Let me just switch to something else. Well, I know you just brought up one example about the hacking the post to characters, but if we're talking about the online business, have you established this sort of like the day X we're gonna be like, okay, no, something else.
I will try I will try as long as there is traction and as long as my customers are happy, uh, in regards of capital boost. I have an end date to it, because of my other goal to have, my software business. So I think I will, unless it becomes like super successful.
Mhm.
I have a sorry, there's something over there fell, but I have a goal to make it 60K MRR in 1 year. So I'm gonna try to scale it until that. Probably I will not achieve it because it's very high markup
Yeah,
to get 60K MRR. But then
especially
I'm
if
all
you're a one person operation.
exactly, exactly. But that means increasing the prices because,
Right.
yeah, increasing the prices and having like a specific success team in place, the customer success team in place. Currently I'm handling everything myself, but as I said to you beforehand, I need to scale it like for sure. Um, when I will say that it doesn't not work, I'm an opportunistic person. I think I believe I have the skills in order to succeed in this business. It's a tough one though because it's sales and it's a lot of stress on dealing with
Right.
people. But I will try for 1 year more and or for 2 years more. I don't know. I to be honest with you, like in this question, I'm like not really. I don't have like an end date to it or like a
But
specific
you
like.
have like the overarching goal, which I
Yes,
think kind of defines it.
yes.
Okay.
I want to become an investor, so that's my end goal basically. Forbes, and I have in between couple goals. So like first Forbes 30 under 30. But with Capital Boost, I'm not gonna get Forbes because Forbes are looking into specific aspects such as how much investment your business got, how much traction you have, how visible you are in the market, as well as what was the other part, endorsements from the other Forbes 30 under 30 people. So Capital Boost is not gonna get investment. Investors don't look at agencies. They don't
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
it's they look at MRR from the subscriptions point of view.
Right.
They like when it's continuous and that you can get in softwares. You know, I'm sure it happened to you as well. Like you sign up for some software and then you forget that you're on subscription and it just like
Especially
deduct.
if it's like a fractional price, like Canva, for example, what is like 15 euros a month. It's like, whatever, okay, I'll pay it, even if I'm not using it too much.
Yeah, yeah. So my end goal is to have a software business, sell it, and become an investor. So, sorry.
Do you have a mentor or like an advisor that helped you establish this goal? So is it just purely you?
Yes, I do have mentors. Couple of them. One is Forbes 30 under 30. Another one is like a career coach, mentor coach. Type of thing. And how I got this mentor is actually quite funny. I was thinking, okay, if I want to get to Forbes, I need to get someone to know someone who was already there. And
Hmm.
I just started reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and I was like, hey, like I am Gabi. My goal is to be Forbes 30 under 30. I would love for you to be my mentor. And so many people replied, like so many people want to help. Like
Oh,
that's awesome. And then I just get on these calls, and then we brainstorm, and I love that part. Like how people are actually willing to help. So yeah, I do have mentors in place that are helping me, and call
the
me
reason why I'm
sometimes.
asking this question is I feel like if I have to like statistically name people that are more successful, most of them would actually have somebody who is helping them along the way, whether it's actually like a therapist or a mentor or like an advisor, whatever names could be different. I see that there is a big difference in the way how resilient they are, how far they're willing to go, how much work they're willing to put into it. Because I think, like you said, when you're just doing something by yourself, it's super lonely. And then at some point, you just like cannot get out of your own head and you don't even know like what's real and what's not anymore if we have to
Yeah,
like go back to
yeah.
those things. So,
Yeah. As a founder, you have to put so many hats. You have to be a CFO, you have to be a CMO, you have to be a salesperson, and it's just like, whoa.
right,
So
right.
overwhelming sometimes. Yeah.
How did you come to the idea of this business? And let me take a wild guess from what I've heard so far. So your first business you started because you saw an opportunity in the market. Is it kind of the same trend for you right now with this business, or is it something that you're passionate about?
This is something I'm passionate about.
Okay.
Yes. I started this business because I used to work in software sales before,
Mm-hmm.
for a company, and I was good at it. And then when I started, like when I quit from Ernst and Young, I started to reaching out to these Forbes 30 under 30 people, and my mentor currently, who is now, he was like, "But your skills are like sales, so you should definitely build something on it." And leverage it. In the beginning, like Capital Boost business model has shifted over the time, like over this 8 months, and it continues to shift to this day. And he was like, why wouldn't you try to like get more clients?
Right.
Because with being an employee, what I didn't like is just getting the same salary, like, and then I just couldn't.
You
And
have a
I saw
ceiling.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, okay, I have to then like create something of my own. So that's how it started, because I identified my strengths with the help, of course, but it was this sales. So, and I'm building on my strength basically. Of course, like agency work is quite difficult, as I already mentioned a couple of
Yes,
times.
draining.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, one client calls, another one calls. You need to set up campaigns, you need to report, you need to be a closer as well, like for your own business. And then, like how many clients can you onboard and sustain? Like I'm constantly having this battle between like in my head, like, can I do one more client? Like, can I do one more client, or is it enough already? So it's this as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I've been on the agency side a couple of times myself, not as a owner, but one of the like key managers, whatever. And I do not want to go back to that environment. That's why ever since I've been working, I did consulting on my own once for a couple of years. That was super draining. It's just this constant of like, okay, do I make this client happy? Do I just like go out and find another one? It's like, no, this is like the thing that I don't want to do. So for
Yeah.
me, I guess my goal is, and I have two small kids, so it's like game changer. You're super limited in what you can do in terms of like your working hours, etc.
Yeah.
Because you also have now competing priorities. You want to like spend time with your kids and do some stuff with your partner, with your husband, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I have realized that I want to do the least amount of work. And I want something that just like kind of sells itself. So, namely some guides, courses, etc. And I have finally realized that I just like talking and advising people, etc. And I'm like the least passionate about like the small details. But you know what? It took me freaking years to realize that, because for a very long time I thought that like marketing, growth, etc. was my thing. And then I realized that it was just like peripheral of what I actually like to do.
Yeah.
But and I didn't have a mentor or advisor along the way. And I feel like if I did, this process would have happened a lot faster. So this is like one regret that I have. Ooh, now let's talk about your regrets. Are there any things, maybe in the last few years, that you wish you did differently?
I wish I would have known money management more. And I
Okay.
wish they would have taught that in schools. And I wish I would have more education on that end. Because as a founder, I've been in the situations where I'm like, shit, I have like 200 in my bank account. Like, it's not good, you know?
Mhm.
So, money man, like, I mean, I am investing and all, but this responsible spending, I think that not that I'm buying everything or in like I stopped that. I have a challenge now, by the way. Like, I'm not buying any clothes until New Year's. So, but
That's a really good
here's
challenge.
living in this
I have a
consumerism
trouble
world.
with that.
Yeah. So, so maybe that. Then another regret would be like it's more like about like learning that
Right.
I would
Hmm.
apply more strategic negotiations. It's difficult, and I don't want to like generalize it like I'm a woman or anything, but it's true, and I really do see it. Like I negotiate with males, and it's freaking difficult to negotiate with old males as a young woman. Like they will try to squeeze everything out of
Right.
you, for a minimum price. And then they come with this like, but I talked with my investor, I talked with the team, and that's all we can offer. And I'm like, uh, no, like so it's like the strategic negotiations of how to stand up for yourself and how to ask for bigger price because like I think that's like quite difficult as a woman. I don't have that much experience yet to like negotiate the super huge deals with no one backing me. So it's like I want to learn that more because I think that would like skyrocket my career or my business further. So yeah, that.
That's a really good skill to have. Coincidentally, I made a recommendation to somebody on my team yesterday because they were asking me what books I'd recommend. There's one book that I love about negotiations called Never Split the Difference.
Mm.
It's one of the like must reads. It's a former FBI negotiator that wrote it. Oh, you're nodding, so you probably already
Here's
read it.
Ross, yes?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
really good. I mean,
yeah.
it's more about, so a lot of times he brings up the examples of like hostage negotiation, but I think it's pretty applicable in business. You're negotiating with terrorists.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I watched his master class a while ago,
Hmm.
3 years, but I have not read the book. So it's a good one.
Of course.
So I watched his master class like 3 years ago, but I did not read a book. So I think I should like revisit his thoughts.
Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Um, do you feel like um, the environment in which you are matters when it comes to being consistent with your like business ownership pursuit and all that? And by environment, I mean partner, friends, and just like overall, I guess, location that you're in. Have you ever thought about that?
Yes, I definitely it makes such a big importance. Like for instance, my partner, he's very supportive. He challenges me sometimes. He ensures that I keep the discipline as well. And I'm super grateful to have such partner. So that's very important. Another part is I'm a member of WeWork, which is this co-working spaces. And I, for instance, wouldn't be able to do everything what I did so far, like just from home. I guess like it's just like not in me to always stay at home. I would just be in my uh, comfy clothes and I don't wouldn't be thinking about like high-end negotiations or something,
Right.
like what to eat. But yeah, so I really like to be part of this community and the environment here because there are so many cool entrepreneurs and freelancers. So definitely that. In terms of the country, my business is international and it's online. I do have some clients in Czech Republic that I meet sometimes, and it's nice, but I don't see like that. It's super important that the country you live in necessarily. Like I always preferred Europe. I see myself in Europe. So yeah, as long as you have good internet connection, I think it's
That's fair. All right. I think it's been a super insightful episode. What we do at the end of each episode is that we give homework to the listeners because it helps them to basically like solidify some of the main points that they've heard along the episode. I have a couple of examples in mind from what we've discussed. Obviously, feel free to to add your own. So the one thing that really I'm personally going to carry away is set the goals and be super visual about that because I think this is what a lot of people are struggling with. And the second one is this is going to be several times that I'm repeating this homework, but put in the reps. Like, don't give up. Just like stay consistent until you see some results. This for me would be like the two pieces of homework. Do you have something else in mind?
one thing I would add is to identify your strengths on what you're good at in business and personal life and really try to build on it.
That's a
That
really
would
good one as well. Yeah. We usually round up the episode with one question. Is there something that you know today that you wish you could tell to your younger self several years ago? Just one thing.
it would be consistent more and just go do that thing you want to do. Like don't wait so long.
Yeah, that phrase definitely makes me regret quite a few things.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Gabi. Last question. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Whether they are the founders that would like, to get your services or just, maybe get in touch with you to get some advice.
So on my LinkedIn, I'm always everyday active. It's Gabija Adele. And on my website as well, which is www.capitalboost.io. So you can reach me there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to the show and well, hopefully see you again for another part.
Thank you so much for having me. It was super nice talk. Thank you.
Thank you.